Greetings, Glitter Gang. Happy Thursday. It's 9 o'clock on Thursday night, the best night in crafting. December 10th is the date, and Tiny Cat's on the floor, but I think she's going to be a snob and not come on the desk. So that figures. So good evening, everyone. I have pinned a comment in the chat that reads, it's the best night in crafting. So if you can see that pinned comment, then you are in the chat that oops, just kidding. Sorry. I just like changed the comment that was pinned and now everything is confused. Okay, now that's the comment that's pinned. So if you can see that comment, then you are in the chat that I can see. So if you're in a cornfield, then I'm in a cornfield, and we're all in a cornfield, and it's just how it is. We're all in the cornfield together. So good evening, everyone. Good evening to Priya, Beva, and Ellen, who are the first in the chat, who were all in a cornfield together, or so they thought. Hi, Kimberly and Judy. Good evening. Sandra, hi. How are you? Good to see you. Donna is here as well. Hi, Donna. Ella, hello, Glitter Gang. Ella has her tree out. She's got her sparkly tree emoji. I'm sure it's decorated with glitter. Pat is here, and so is Carol Joan. Hello, Kathryn as well. Hi to everyone. All right. So, I'm going to try and do a recording break 1 hour in. We'll see what happens. First thing we have to do is we have to think of some kind of construction for some kind of element to go on the inside of this thing, on the last thing. So this won't be the last video in the series, but we're getting close. We're getting close to the end. Getting close to the end. Getting close to the end. All right. So what are we working with in terms of size? I wonder. It's 8 1/4 at best. At best. So let's just say we'll make whatever goes on at 8 by 10 3/4. 8 by 10 3/4, and it can be up to 1/2 inch thick. Yeah, Halloween's almost over, friends. Halloween, the month-long religious ceremony of Halloween, is almost over. Tiny, hi. What you doing right there? What you doing right there? Don't you want to come say hi to your friends? Oh, you flopped on the floor. You want to come on the desk? I know they'd like to see you. Aw. Okay. All right. Well. Aw, you do you. If you want to stay there, stay there. Okay. Come on, Tiny Cat. You're a Halloween cat. You match the project. Why don't you come up here? Tiny. Come here, Tiny. She's like weirdly sniffing the carpet. She always, whoa. Sorry. I'm sorry. I scared her, so. All right, so the base is 8 by 10 3/4. And let's see. What's across from it / next to it is an accordion pocket. So we don't necessarily need another accordion pocket. However, some things we could do are we could do an accordion Holy Joe, actually. We could take the Holy Joe and add accordions to the sides and make an accordion Holy Joe. So it would look a little bit different. We could also make a transparent pocket and just put a really cool piece of pattern paper behind it. So like we could make like a frame, yeah, and then make, say, about an inch or so, and then have it be clear behind it, but also have it be accordioned on the sides so that it was, let me grab the thing. It would be sort of similar to this, only it would be the full size of the page. It would be expandable, and it would, all right, let's just do that. Let's not overthink it. Rah, 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 rah. Okay, so we need a piece that's 8 by, so we need one piece that's 8 inches by 10 3/4. That'll be the base or the back. And then we need a piece that's 3 inches wider than that. So that would be 3 inches wider than 8 is 11. That's easy. But 3 inches wider than 10 3/4, of course, is not 8. So is more than basically, because this is basically 11. So we're talking about it's close to 14, 13 3/4. So 13 3/4. I don't know why I did that like a new math style when it's 10. It's not hard to add 3 to 10. So technically we need to end up with something that's 13 3/4. So what we're going to do, I think, is we're going to stick 2 pieces of paper together, and then we'll cover them with pattern paper so you won't be able to tell that they're 2 pieces of paper. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So we need, this piece is going to get split into 2 pieces. One that's 11 by 7. One that's 11 by 7, and one that's 11 by 6 3/4. This is basically in half or close to it. And then this 8 by 10 3/4 up here. We're not going to accordion the top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a flap on it. So the flap is 2.5 inches only, or not 2.5. 2. I'm going to make these parts here. We're going to make these 1 1/4 rather, 1 1/4. So I want the flap that comes over the top to be 1 1/4, and I'm going to angle it like that so that it matches up with whatever pattern paper we put on the frame. All right, and then we'll do the frame corners like this. So we need 1 1/4 plus 1 1/2 for the accordion and the inch to like stick it to the thing. So 1 1/2 plus 1 1/4 is 2 3/4. So we need one piece that's 8 by 2 3/4 for that flap. So that way it'll just, and we'll put magnets or something, and that way it'll just look like a frame. But, well, it will be a frame, but you know what I mean. It'll have a flap that opens at the top so you can take stuff in and out. And then we'll make some inserts to go in it. So if we're lucky, this whole thing will come together really quickly and easily. Could you add the 1 1/2 to, no, you can't just add the 1 1/2 to the 10 3/4, this, because if you did that, you couldn't open it. So this piece has to be, you know, it can't be part of this piece because otherwise it can't open. So this piece down here at the bottom, we can add the accordion to the bottom because it doesn't need to open on the bottom, but on the top, because it needs to open, it has to be a separate piece. Oh, do you mean, could we add it to this 10.5? We would need to add to this 10 3/4. We would need to add a 1/2 inch plus 1 1/4 inches. So we would have to add 1 3/4 inches. That math is escaping me right now. Where the heck is my calculator? There it is. So let's just do the math. So we need 10 3/4 plus the 1/2 inch plus the 1 1/4 is 12.5. So we're going to have to attach a piece no matter what. Because we're short by 12.5 inches. Now, one thing we could do is we could not stick the back all the way down, and we could leave a 1/2 inch gap there. But then we have to do math to where we attach it. So we might as well just make a separate piece because it'll be easier to attach it. Flush to the top. Okay. So these are the pieces that you're going to cut. This one. And then these 3. Okay. And you're going to have to use probably a sheet of paper for this, a sheet of paper for this, a sheet of paper for this, and then this can come from a scrap from here. So you need 3 sheets of paper, or 3 cardstock sheets rather. 3 cardstock sheets. So first piece is 8 by 10 3/4. This is the base. It's not scored, and this is what everything's going to get attached to. And from the 2, I have a 4-inch piece left from that. I'm going to cut this 8 by 2 3/4 inch piece from it. All right, so now I have this piece and this piece. I just have to cut these 2. And unfortunately, because they're both bigger than 6 inches, they can't come from the same sheet. So it is what it is. Okay, so we've got this 7-inch piece and a 6 3/4 inch piece, and before we're gonna score, I was gonna tape them before I scored. I think I'm gonna tape them after I score and line up the score lines. So they get scored. The 7-inch piece, which is this one. the 7-inch piece gets scored at 1 inch and 10 inches. Okay, one piece and 10 inches, or 1 inch and 10 inches. And the 1 6 3/4 gets scored at 1 inch and 10 inches. But then it also gets scored at 5 1/4 and 5 3/4. Oops. Oops. And then flip it over and score at 5 1/2. And I forgot we have to do that on the sides too. So on the sides, we score at 1, 1 1/2, and 9 1/2 and 10. And then we flip it over and we score at 1 1/4 and 9 3/4. And then let me get this one back. We score at 1, 1 1/2, 9 1/2 and 10. And then flip it over and score at 1 1/4 and 9 1/4. Okay, and now we're going to tape them together. And the main thing is we're going to line up the score lines. More than anything, we want the score lines lined up to each other. So we don't want to line up the edges. We want to line up the score lines. And the inside is the side with 2 raised scores. 2 raised scores. Okay. All right. So I'm going to burnish this tape. Then I'm going to pick it up and tape the other side. Ugh. All right. And then I'm going to cut the tape off the edges. Give it a little slice. Give it a little slice. Slice of magic. All right. Now, we have some more cuts to make. Before I cut though, I'm gonna fold because it's just a little bit easier to fold when it doesn't have a hole in the middle. Honestly, it feels way too long and I think I messed up the math. But we can always cut the top off if I did. So it's not a big deal. Too long, better than too short. Because I think what I did is I added the 3 inches to the bottom, but the accordion is with Melanie, there's a subreddit where people help people figure out books based on descriptions. There's on Reddit. I don't know what it's called, but if there is a you can ask people on Reddit for help. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, because this whole thing has to be 10 3/4 when it's done, I'm just going to put this score line at 10 3/4, and then I'm going to cut it. But yeah, my problem is to the bottom, I only needed to add to the bottom, I only needed to add the 1.5 to the length. I only need to add 1.5, but I added 3. You add 3 to the sides and 1.5 to the length. Okay, so now it should be the right size. Yeah, okay. Is it? Did I make it too short? I made it too short. Now it's 10.5. Guess what? It's just 10.5 now. That's the size it is. That's the size it is now. Okay. So now what we're going to do is going to mark 1 1/4 in and then cut with your knife and your ruler, or you can just use a trimmer like this. I'm going to use a ruler, actually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the ruler to mark with a pencil and then cut with the trimmer. So I'm going to come 1 1/4 in from the top, which is the cut edge that doesn't have any scores or folds. And then 1 1/4 in from the innermost score lines. So from this score line right here. All right. Whoops, that didn't work. All right. So once we've done that and marked all of them, then I'm just going to put it back in my Fiskars trimmer and cut them. Well, I'll just use my ruler. I don't know why I just don't trust the trimmer, but I think it's because it's... And then I put the ruler here so I can see these pencil lines, and I cut from that pencil line to that pencil line. So if I put the ruler on the inside like this, I can see those pencil lines and I know where to cut. Cutting to this first line. So while I'm doing this, just doing this cutting, just a reminder that next week is book club. There are 2 books for book club. Oh, and one other thing that I forgot about next week is that I might have jury duty. So if I do, we won't have an afternoon class, but I'll still do a night class. Or we could just move it and do classes on Friday or something like that. I mean, I'm hoping I won't have jury duty, but you know, what can you do? All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take acetate. I'm going to tape all along the inside. Then I'm going to tape the edges of the acetate and put the acetate down. So I'm just going to tape inside this edge. Okay, so now I'm going to get a piece of transparency and I'm going to tape around the outside. Oh, it's a little too big, so I'm going to cut it down. I'm going to cut it to 7 3/4 by 10 1/4. Yours would be 10 1/2 because your piece will be the right size, which, by the way, so this piece doesn't need to be 13 3/4. It needs to be 12 1/4. 12 1/4, which means this piece doesn't need to be 6 3/4. It needs to be 5 1/4. All right. So this is 12 1/4, that's 5 1/4. I added an extra 1.5 inches that I didn't need to add. So we still would have had to make it out of 2 pieces of paper. But, you know, math and I, we get along. As you know, we get along so well. So yeah, if I have to have jury duty, my jury duty is one day only, but it's the 17th. So I'll know on the 16th. So I'll be able to post, you know, the morning of the 17th if it's canceled or not in the afternoon. And we can either do, well, or moved. What's better? Do you want to move it and do 2 classes on Saturday or something like that? Or do you want to do, you know, one really long class Thursday night? Why are you being a pain? Do you need to be so dramatic? Do you? Do you? Not on the weekend? Okay. Well, the project, I don't know when we could do it. I guess we'll just have to do it on Friday or Monday. We could do it Monday. Those are really the only days because I work on a friend's project with them on Tuesday nights, and then Wednesday of next week is a little close. What you all just need to do is just say a prayer that I don't have to have jury duty. I mean, that's really the best way. Okay. So now we've got this. It's got its little back. I'm going to fold its sides, and then we're going to burnish it into place. Burnish it well with the sides folded. Yeah, like it's one of those where you have to call the night before and see if they're going to need your jury number or whatever. So just pray that when I call the night before, they don't need my jury duty. Also, even if I have to go in there, they're not going to pick me for a jury. It's so irritating. I know that they will not pick me if I go because this is for circuit court and I have sued someone in a personal injury lawsuit. So technically, and that's one of the questions on the jury form is, have you ever sued anyone for personal injury? And it's like, if that's one of the questions on the form, it's like, they obviously don't want you. So why isn't that one of the questions to get out of it? That's what I want to know. Okay. So we're going to cut in from the edge to that first score line, I think. I'm pretty sure. Right? Yeah. That's correct, right? Or do I need to cut farther? I'm going to cut this one a little farther. Yes. No. No, yeah, we do. We have to cut all the way in. Okay. So we cut all the way in. They're probably going to call me. This will probably be the first time. So I have, I'm going to have to sit through a personal injury lawsuit. I know it. I know it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, team. They probably are short on people. Stupid COVID. It could be a contract case. Yeah, it could be something else. They could just have you put that it's personal injury because they want to know that you need to go to a different section. But yeah, it's circuit court, and that's usually, at least here, it's usually a lot of that type of thing. But this is not anywhere close to, did I say civil court? Well, it is civil, but it's the circuit, which is like the minor stuff. But yeah, it could be some kind of contract dispute. It could be someone who hates their landlord. Who knows? Then I could be like, yes, I too hate landlords. My house is currently flooded and not fixed after a month and a half because of my landlord. No, it says on the form it's not criminal. So it's not criminal that I would be doing. Yeah, if it's someone who has flooding problems, I'm set. I am set. That's gonna be no problemo. No problemo. I'll be like, oh, I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. But yeah, like, well, they can't really be doing much in terms of, like, as in being very busy, because okay, so from here I'm going to cut just into that first notch, and then so that we can make that corner like we always do. And I'm going to pull off this little bit right here because I don't need it and it's in the way. But yeah, basically it seemed from the description on the thingy they gave me, it seemed very low stakes. Because it's literally only one day. I've literally never been called for jury duty service that lasted one day. Ever. And I've been called for every kind of jury duty there is on this planet. So. Alright, so I'm going to cut out what I just cut out, which is what? I guess this whole section, because I don't need it. All right. Now that I've assembled it, sort of. You were called once and then they settled before voir dire. My mom got selected for the DC sniper trial. Which she was not happy about. But then they had such a big jury chosen for that. The judge was like, everyone needs to go home and check their calendars, and if they have any of the following things in the next 6 months. And then he listed a bunch of stuff. And then you need to come back and tell me, and we're going to replace you. Because it's going to take a long time. And my mom had one of the things, so she didn't have to do it. But They didn't ask good questions though, because my mom is against capital punishment. I mean, I am too. It's not like it's just like my mom's thing or whatever. But like I was surprised that someone who was against capital punishment would even be selected for a trial like that. But she didn't have to do it, so. Most annoying juries that I've ever been on, or jury pools I've ever been in, I should say, were Fairfax County Grand Jury, and then some grand jury for the Federal District Court in Alexandria, which does a lot of like drug crime and stuff. They do a lot of complicated like mafia stuff, like horrible cases like that. Those are a year, and you have to call in once a month and find out if they need you. And the whole time I was like, please, 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 please. I don't want to be on. I was like, please, please, please don't need me. Please don't need me. It's like, I don't want to do a drug trial. Okay, I don't. All right, so I'm going to peel. All right, so what I've done is I've put one fold down, and I'm going to put the other fold on top of it. And then I'm going to put one flap down, and then I'm going to peel the tape. But yeah, I've been called for jury duty. I'm sure I've mentioned this before. I've gotten more jury summons than anyone else I know. And when I tell people how many jury summons I've had in my life, no one has ever even heard of someone who's had jury duty that much. Federal grand jury, man. I don't, well, whatever. You guys don't need to hear my thoughts on grand juries. This doesn't need to be that kind of a show. All right, so once again, gonna fold this in once, and then fold the other one on top of it, and then put this on top of the other one. All right. All right, now we are done. Okay. So here's the pocket, and then this piece is going to slide in. Okay. Although I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because this is cut 10 3/4. I need it to be 10 1/2. So. And instead of being 8, I'm going to cut it down to 7 7/8, just to make it easier to slide in. All right, so what I'm going to do is I have to tape the edges, and I'm just going to tape the sides and the top. Oh, I guess I could put pattern paper on first. That would be cute, wouldn't it? All right, that would make sense. Everyone's like, but the paper! The paper! Yes, we'll put some paper on it. Yeah, I know. You're just trying to help. I'm not. I'm not ungrateful. The paper. All right. So let's find some cute paper. Put that on there. Paper. Do, 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 do. All right, let's find a super cute paper. Like one with a lot going on. You know, we're probably going to end up printing another one tiny. Ooh, what if we put these bats inside? Okay, that's kind of cool. We'd want to frame them. So, okay, looks like I want to cut about a 1/2 inch off the top before I cut. And then what am I going to cut? 7 3/4 wide. And then we're going to cut like a 1/2 inch off the top. And then after we cut a 1/2 inch off the top, we'll cut it down to 10 1/4. And then put this, just stick it right down. All right, let's put some tape on this. And then maybe so anyway, whatever. If I have to do jury duty, I have to do jury duty. It's fine. But yeah, years ago, I was hit by an uninsured motorist and got whiplash and had to do physical therapy. And my insurance company paid for everything. But I had called the police when I was hit to make a police report. So they had that information. And they being Geico, they sued the guy. And I only found out that they had sued him when a sheriff showed up at my door with a subpoena because I had to go testify. And I was like, what in the heck? Because my name was on the lawsuit. Like, yes, all the lawyers who did all the work and everything all worked for Geico, but like it was my name. You know, it was Kathryn versus whoever. Doesn't book club get you out of jury duty? Well, I mean, I thought that the show, I mean, it is the best day in crafting. How can it be the best day in crafting if I'm doing jury duty? You know, that's a question that the courts need to answer. Okay. So I put this flush with the top, and just so that you see it when the flap is open. Dun dun. Okay, so now I'm going to peel this tape and slide this all the way in, and then that'll close it up. Probably, oh, I need to put tape at the bottom of this too, I think. These are their stories. Anyway, I'd much rather have one day of circuit court than a year of federal grand jury. So, but every time, man, they get me every time. And intern Liz was like, this is what you get for voting. And I'm like, you also voted. I'm the only person that this happened to in the household. All right. Oh no, I glued it shut. Ugh, this always happens. I think I pressed the pattern paper on top of the... Yeah, I have the pattern paper above the crease. So now we're really in trouble. I didn't get under the crease. Here it's the driver's license too, Melanie. The driver's license registers you to vote and puts you... Yeah, I have it on the wrong crease. This is so annoying. Now I'm going to have to try and get it out of here. Yeah, it did go in too smoothly. We should have known. It was a trap. Anne's the one who cursed us. Get her! Get her! This is just because I complained about jury duty. I'm being punished for my lack of civic responsibility. Okay, come on. Thank you. All right. So, when you do yours, make sure that you get under. You need to be in this crease, not this crease. So I was in this crease, and when I did that, I glued the bottom shut. So you need to make sure your paper is in this crease before you stick it down. So you want to be, if you slide it down with the front facing up, you want to be in the bottom crease. And if you slide it down with the front facing down, you want to be in the top crease. So I think what I did is I think I did it like this, but then I put it in the bottom crease. So that's not correct. So now we're going to do it this way, and we're going to do it like this. And then it'll be okay. Just gonna wave this around. Just going to put 1/2 inch tape all the way around. At least I don't. Yeah, California Undo takes, I have a bottle of it, and it takes a long time to dry. Let's try again, shall we? Priya, you just need to move out of California so that your undo dries faster. It's just that simple. Get yourself some nice Nevada undo. Okay. And now it works. Okay. Yay. That was stressful. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the I'm going to stick the top flap on it real quick. I'm going to make the top flap and stick it on, and then in the next video we'll do the decorating. Okay, so that's this piece here. And all right. So this is 2 3/4 by 8 inches, and we're going to score it at 1 1/4 and 1 3/4. And then we're going to flip it over and score it at 1 1/2. Fold along all the score lines and burnish. Okay. And then we're going to put the tape on, and I need to put the tape on the inside and on the outside of the 1 inch flap. Okay. Well, not on the inside. I can leave the top because I have tape on the base, but on the outside I need to put tape on both all the way up. Well, that's just hurtful, Priya. We're real. I mean, you would not move to the entire state just because like twice a year it rains lizards? It just seems really unfair. I don't know what we did to deserve this judgment. Okay. So it's really simple. This 1-inch flap is going to get stuck here. And then this will get magnetized here. See? Easy peasy. Crazy stuff is always happening in Florida. I just don't think that's true. Does that sound right to anyone who lives in Florida? We're so normal. We are so normal. I mean, that's what everyone says. Florida is the most normal state. You hear that all the time. Okay. Yay. So now I'm going to cut these corners at a 45-degree angle. I should have done that before I stuck them down. Yeah, I'm going to get this constructed. And then we're going to take a break. Okay, so I wanted these cut at a 45-degree angle. So I just used the 45-degree angle mark on my desk. I'm going to peel the tape. Arizona, yeah, Arizona seems like the sun is really trying to kill you. Like, it's just like, no. Like, that's how I felt when I was in Israel in July. By the way, don't recommend going to Israel in July. Was that the sun was really like, it was personal, you know. It was personal. Yeah, so now it's going to have the angles to the corners. All right, so that's the construction of the flap. I mean, we're still going to put some magnets so that it snaps right in place. We'll do magnet to magnet so that it stays properly aligned. But basically, here's our pouch. So I'm going to do a recording break here. And then in the next video, we'll put the frame on it. We'll decorate the flap, and then we'll think about what we're going to do for inserts. So I'm going to do a recording break, so the decorating for this will be in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Check the video description for links to supplies used and tools, etc. And I'll be right back.